two brushstroke. Alfonso El Sabio University, Guadarrama Educational Group. Several companies. Professional training with Connect, formerly Galen. Mir Asturias preparing the competitive examinations for the MIR, a new university. Business and Tech Malaga, Mare Nostrum, and I'll leave out one that I don't remember which one it is, and the Valley Business School with Talent, okay? To give you a glimpse of the ecosystem that is famous lifelong learning that we are seeing and where we are now. And that photo illustrates quite a bit where we were relatively recently. We're not that far away either, okay? And we hope to talk about things driven by AI and process automation in the short term. Okay, what is the current state of the ecosystem we find ourselves in? Specifically, the one we as universities mainly operate. And these are processes that are barely digitized. Paper is still widely used, I'd say. A lot of paper due to bureaucracy. Because of how the different degrees are being managed and so on. Many inefficient processes. I mean, if you are parents and your children, and you're lucky, whether they are in a private or a public university, hey, the administrative process is very tedious. There are practically no channels of communication. Hey, the papers come and go. Data protection issues. That is the world we find at the university is complex and very difficult to manage from an administrative standpoint. Since the recent establishment of the new IT management model of systems, we began to assess. This has been going on 2 years. We review all processes of the university. Now, I rather subscribe to, on the part that pertains specifically to the university, I'll share a few thoughts on the future. We found numerous inefficient processes within the university that are strong candidates for digitization. And that's where we focus, and with the help of, in this case, IBM and Habber Tec, we signed an agreement with them a year ago. Since then, we've been working to map these processes and digitize them through a simple BPM solution. What I'm going to share now is not a list of all the processes we have, because that would probably bore you. Although some, if you are the parents of university students, you will know. But I'm going to tell you a little about our use case, how I think to help. On this journey we've been on for a long time during this year, okay? What did we do? That analysis of process. It is very important to take requirement. This isn't the usual case for a private university, where the focus is typically very concentrated on the sources of knowledge, where it's documented. We are talking about teaching staff, students, UAX case. There has to be a high level of collaboration. We're talking about many different faculties, even though they are the same university, they don't work in the same way. In other words, a TFG, a TFM. A faculty of education is not the same as a faculty of engineering, absolutely nothing to do with it, and that must be identified. Bottleneck, meaning points in the process where inefficiencies arise. We need to identify these issues and from there uncover the opportunity. Isidoro is here with me from the Habber Tec team. We started by raising the process in a very naive way. Let me tell you, Isidoro. So we sat down, mapped out the process, and implemented it in the BPM. In a month we have the process. This is the brilliant, but no, it's not brilliant. We realized that a close and continuous iteration with the user is essential. And I say very close is showing them how this process is going. We're not talking to people who are very used to processes, to digitalization. They love paper. I swear to you, they love paper. If they love Excel, they love go, walk, take all the folds. Yes, it's crazy, okay? So we said, well, you have to see it, right? So we detect that, hey, well, with a Figma, let them see papier-mâché before starting to model. Because then all the modeling took us a lot of rework, a lot of reprocessing of all the information we had. So there we said, well, let's set up something in Figma, like kind of mock-up, so they can actually see what the process looked. And in that way, we were gradually guiding them towards direction that interests us. And it is that they were telling us each of the process. And I've brought one to show you from the student office and a good example. With the first one we put into production a few months ago, which is the official academic certification. Something as simple as requesting a transcript of records after completing their studies. The faculty, it used to take 3 months. Now with the success story, it takes 2 days. This is how it is. Thousands of calls, and I won't even get into the amount of paperwork involved, okay? So we explained this whole process, and that's how we're now shaping the next final degree project. TFM's official accreditations, certifications, and so on. Minutes topic. Okay, how did we did the implementation of BPM? I'll explain it to you in 3 simple steps. Mainly, once we had detailed all that papier-mâché, we were modeling it during the process. The documentation was very limited, and we've had to create most of it ourselves. Why? Mainly because the use cases we had, particularly when it came to training, we adopted a very agile approach while the process was still being developed. That is a very agile process. That is, we've gone from faculty to faculty. But of course, neither the Habber Tec team nor ourselves have the capacity to train everyone or cover all faculties. Here is the documentation, videos, training pills, and so on. Another fundamental case that we have encountered and that we continue to find, and it is with the issue of integrations. The university, let's say, No, it's not that it's a success story, but it has worked with many ecosystems. In-house developments for 20 years. With very little documentation and that integration with current BPM systems, well, you have to work on them a lot. It's essential to clearly understand and define the structure of the services you'll be interfacing with. The information that we are going to bring back from the student are all qualifications. These services are spread across highly heterogeneous systems. The quality of the data, which we talked about this morning, quality is far from ideal. It is not the same in medical faculty than a FacMech, than a faculty medical. So that's what we found in the systems are highly heterogeneous, and the integration process has been a major source of frustration, truly challenged. That is why I told you I'm going to bring it down to earth. This whole generative AI thing, really keep grounded. But we are still a long way from arriving at this point. Okay, so how did we handle and how are we currently handling the production process? We realized that it can't be a big bang. That's not, in a faculty, we have to go one by one. In other words, we just launched the TFGs the other day, working together with Faculty of Education. It's been a tremendous success. Just imagine, from the moment a student wants to present his final degree project, end of bachelor's degree or end of master's degree until you finish it, there are three main processes. Submit. I want to apply to present my final degree project. First, I submit all the required documentation, and then there is an evaluation panel and so on. All of that created significant difficulties for the university, in the sense that starting with the assignment of students to their tutors, including how I submit the documentation for review by a panel and later the formation of the panels themselves. It is infinite. We're talking about almost 700, 800 students in the Faculty of Education. This requires assigning a tutor according to, for each student, and then the panels, which are made up 3 members. You also have to produce minutes and so on. Here we've included the entire part related to generation of minutes automatically. We have made RPAs here for the accreditation part and so on, and it has been a success story, but we have only done it in one faculty. Now we are opening it to another faculty, and this is going to be a process that is going to take a long time. We are in production, yes, but in fact, what I tell you is delivered in several parts. The value of it, well, not so much training itself, but rather that the system works. This takes time, especially to get approval from the deans of each faculty, since each one operates independently. We're talking about a very hierarchical world in terms to the faculty. Each of the faculties has to tell you, okay, I'm interested, I'm going to do it. Otherwise, you're dead. And that part of training it's key, just like change management. Just in issuing official accreditations, knowing it used to take us 2 days out of 6 months. It took us a long time to explain to the student office what the process was. They had 6 people happy, I swear to you, with paper-based processes, but happy. Still someone says to me, oh, what am I going to do now? But there's a lot to be done within the faculty, and that's the situation we're faced. So then, that change management part, and another thing that I bring to you, the wow. Without the wow, no, we don't launch the process. There may be, and now that we have a new CEO in the company, that is Domingo Miran, who also comes from one of the big ones, so it comes to promote all this and to give us a lot of support. But without the wow, as I say, of the faculties and for people to see what these processes really contribute, it is very difficult to implement, and you have to go very slowly. This is what we have. Generates us. Well, that sometimes the company's own inertia says, hey, why do you take so long to put these processes in place? Because this skips over many individuals. Hey, I told you. And this, it is not invented, this reality. Talking about 60% pay savings, 75% time savings, and 90% satisfaction from the student's perspective. That is, there were students who call 3 times every day. In other words, this data, okay, they were calling 3 times a day because they had no idea what had become of their application, the one they had handed in on paper. I hope you don't study at UAX. Oh, God. Well, then, just joking. I hope you're studying for a degree and then you can come to business school. Then, this in itself. What I mean is, this is just how things go, like most things in life, right? They already go out 2 days and they also complain, right? I'm going to tell you, before, when it used to take you 6 months, the other day our system went down. Someone came in and I asked, what about your team? What were these people doing, But, well, then these are data, which is having a real impact in terms of efficiency, both in the specific case and the ones still to come, right? So what have we learned? Mainly the human factor. This is about people. No matter how much effort we put in setting up and mapping out a process, if we don't sell it, if we don't understand it, if we don't sit with them, it's just not going to move forward. The benefits are tangible. We have just seen them. There's a lot of risk. In other words, given the current state of our system, we have to work a lot on the part of back office and another part. Another key area we're working on with the Habber Tec team is maintenance. The system works, it is okay, it's stable, but continuous improvement here requires having teams constantly working with the university's own equipment. We have the team we have, which is very limited in terms of people, not in terms of capacities. And here we have the There's valuable knowledge within the companies we work with that we need to leverage because we won't be able to develop it in-house. What's left? There's still a great deal to do. I wish we'd moved to D.S. Smith, Olga's team, who've been here for 10 years and will no doubt be here for many more. There is a lot left to do. Now we're about to launch, we're launching another 4 processes in the next month, and we're starting to validate 4 others, such as meeting minute, waivers, control of all the minute fully signed, and so on. Expansion. What I'm talking to you in a group. Now it is only the university. The idea is to roll this out to FP in the short. And we do not rule out that the business schools at the Valley or even Mira Asturias itself. We're also working on the full re-engineering of processes and working it ahead. And a part that we cannot forget, and I really love the approach you're taking in banking. You're significantly more advanced than we are in this area with the innovation part. And when I say RPAs, that we set up one but very small, we've been a success story of minutes, and that we can implement the AI part and so on in many different processes. But as I say, success story that I bring here today is that you have to go very slowly. That technology is there, that it can help a lot, but that it must be done very well and very slowly from the beginning. Otherwise, we'll just end up leaving it there and no one will use it. And nothing else. I don't know if there are any questions or anything. Thank you. No, not as hard as IBM, please.
Oh no, exactly. I think it's easy. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. You are welcome. Very interesting. I wanted to know how you select the processes you want to automate and who is responsible for that select. How you get involved in addition to those responsible for those processes, and then how do you measure satisfaction? 90% that you mentioned. Okay.
It is a process that took 2 years ago. We worked with a consultant and said, hey, we are going to lift all the process. This was an initiative of the rectorate directly where all the processes of the faculty were raised, and there I know. In those processes, a series of inefficiencies were identified, and when those processes were put in place and identified, he said to himself, what is likely to be object of working with a BPM? Okay, I came from another world, from another sector 2 years ago, that I was coming. I have nothing to do with, in other words, it had nothing to do with the education sector. And when they presented me with the project, we identified that there were 10 that were very susceptible to it. So from there, we opened a process of negotiation with different platforms. We decided to by IBM, and that was the embryo a little of what emerged. Which ones did we select? That's the typical win-win. Hey, little effort, hey, high profit. They were very linear process, end-to-end. Hey, that they had very little robot. I mean, hey, if I have to generate a report, it is generated by the robot, signed by the dean, the general secretary, end-to-end flow process, and we select those 10. Of those 10, 6 are the ones we are undertaking. 4, I think we are going to discard, and others that have come new. Because when they have seen the benefits of these processes and together with a strategic plan that has launched by our new CEO, Domingo Miron, others have come out seeing what the success that he has had. Let's launch different ones, shall we? So that's been a little bit the process that we have carried. But it came from 2 years ago and from people who were not very involved in education, and I came from another sector. And Joe, is that this is a clear BPM, but it is also true that here a key point was investment. That is, setting up a solution with a full BPM is not cheap, and you have to explain the benefits a little. What happens is that the benefits, as soon as they told it, said, it's not possible, but it is possible. That is in the part of the minute of generating minutes in which it now take 2 days. Before there were 6 people, now there is only 1. We have signed more than 2,000 November. In other words, imagine the savings in human cost. I don't know if it was all 3 questions or if I had one left. Measurement, satisfaction. When we did process, we did identify how many calls there were, how many papers were moving, and how many people were involved then. That is already a satisfaction per se. And then we have one thing, which is the NPS for the students or the teachers, where we ask every year on a recurring basis how they see each process. Okay, so there we have been asking, and that's where we've identified all of this part of improvements, For more information about this session, visit our website or contact